Oh, hey friends, Josh Yeager, Santa Barbara dog walker and fiduciary governance big wheel. Sharing thoughts, tips, and tricks on administering trusts as I walk my dog in Santa Barbara. Dodger! That's my dog. Thought today we'd spend a little bit of time thinking about the orphaned settlement. Where's the orphaned settlement? Well, let's start with settlement. What's the settlement? That's mom or dad or dead. They've got assets called an estate. Part of that estate might be the trust, or maybe they died intestate, which means they didn't have a trust. But the assets are to transfer to the heirs or beneficiaries. That's the settlement process. There's a lot of things to do. Big long checklist of notices that have to be made and reports to counties that have to be done and valuations that need to be administered, etc. An orphan settlement is when the drafting attorney, the person that wrote mom and dad's estate plan, probably 10 or 15 years ago because nobody's looked at it in 10 years, isn't available to help with the long checklist of stuff that the successor trustee is the one responsible for working through this checklist. And it's usually a family member. It's usually the grieving widow or overworked eldest daughter or sibling that lives in another state. It's some family member that doesn't really know how to do this because they've never done the job before. They didn't go to law school. They are trusted by the decedent, but they don't really have familiarity with the process. So an orphan settlement is when the drafting attorney isn't available to help the non-professional successor trustee do their job. Get through this long checklist of maybe, 50 on the low side to 150 on the high side tasks that need to be accomplished during the settlement. My experience is a settlement typically takes, it takes my team 30 hours maybe for a $5 million estate. Might take a non-professional, call it 2 times that, maybe 3 times. So why are there orphan settlements? Well, the drafting attorney is either too busy, because right now there's an awful lot of work for trust and estates attorneys. If you just look demographically what's going on, a lot of baby boomers really interested in getting their affairs in order. So drafting attorneys are pretty busy right now. So they're too busy, or they're retired because they were a contemporary of mom and dad, right? They were in the Rotary Club with mom and dad, or they're next door neighbors of mom and dad, or they went to church with mom and dad. But if mom and dad are dying off, it stands to reason that their contemporary, who was the trust and estate attorney, is at best retired, or at worst dead. So the drafting attorney isn't available. So what happens? The successor trustee starts calling around saying, hey, dad died, I need some help walking through this process. Never done it before, I don't have time. What do they hear from the other attorneys in the town? They hear, look, I'm really busy. I don't have time for this. I don't know the family. I'm not familiar with the assets. I don't do trust and estate settlement. I'm more a drafting attorney. I specialize in the writing of estate plans. I don't specialize in the settlement of estates. So that's a frustrating fact pattern, and it's becoming more and more prevalent. That's the orphaned settlement. Nobody wants a settlement. Another common theme with these orphan settlements is the estates are pretty small. So if the estate is $10 million and up, trust me, you can find an attorney that'll help settle that trust. Because there's pretty big money in trust settlement for large trusts. They're complicated, lots of hours, lots of hourly rates, lots of fees charged in the process. But for the more modest estates, the estates of, let's say, $10 million and less, there's just not a lot of resources. So it is into this breach that I and my team at Anados have stepped. We want to be the trust and estate settlement team that helps the non-professional successor trustee settle the estates. We're focusing specifically on the smaller estates, because that's the service gap in the market right now. Aren't a lot of people that are willing to do that work. And our thesis is that with focus and intentionality and deliberation and commitment, we can settle these estates twice as fast at half the cost with lower risk to the successor trustee and to the family than would have been experienced without us. So, give us a call if you happen to be an orphan and need help settling mom and dad's estate. Trustee-help.com is the website. See you, folks.